Hello everyone, my name is Divya. Welcome to History Lessons. So today we are going to study about the political history of Gupta period. So the Gupta period has been described as the golden age of Indian history, and they maintain an empire over northern, central and western part of India from the early 4th to the late 16th century. It is also called the classical age of Indian history. So in this video we will be talking about the chronology of all the rulers of Gupta dynasty. We will also talk about their achievements and the titles that they hold, and what were the innovations and different things that they did during their reigning period. Okay, let's start with the topic. So the first two rulers of Gupta dynasty were Sri Gupta and Ghatotkacha. We don't know much about them, but Chandragupta I, the third ruler, mentioned it. So from there we came to know about these two. Now the Gupta Empire during the rule of Sri Gupta comprised only Magadha and also part of Bengal too. Okay, so Sri Gupta ruled from Patliputra, which is close to modern day Patna, and that's it. That's the only thing that we know about Sri Gupta. And after that, he was succeeded by his son, that is Ghatotkacha, and we don't know anything about Ghatotkacha except that he ruled from 280 to 319 AD. Okay, now the real founder of the Gupta Empire was Chandragupta I. Okay, if we talk about the Chandragupta I, then he was a son of Ghatotkacha, and he married a Lichachvi princess. Her name was Kumara Devi. Okay, right. So, and his rule remained confined to Magadha and some part of eastern Uttar Pradesh, basically Saketa and Prayaga, and very important that he took the title of Maharaja Dhiraja. And this thing we need to note down, because this has been asked a lot of time, that who was the king who acquired this title of Maharaja Dhiraja. Okay, yeah. So he ruled from 319 to 335 AD, and also marked the beginning of the Gupta era. And the territorial heads ruling over various parts of India could not counter the superior armed forces of Chandragupta I and had to surrender before him. Okay, so it is conjectured that at the end of his reign, the boundary of the Gupta, empire already extended to Allahabad, right? So that was Chandragupta I. Now Chandragupta I was succeeded by Samudragupta, who ruled from 335 AD to 375 AD. Now Samudragupta, he became the ruler after subduing his rival Kacha. He was basically a prince of the dynasty, right? So his conquests are basically known from a very lengthy eulogy composed by his court poet Harisena and inscribed on an Ashokan pillar at Allahabad. Okay, so this account contains a long list of states, kings and tribes which were conquered and brought under various degrees of subjugation by Samudragupta. Okay, so if we talk about the conquest, then the first was the 12 states of Dakshinapatha, okay, with the name of their kings who were captured and then liberated and then reinstated. Okay, so they were like Koshala, Mahakantara, Korata, Pishtapura, Kotura, Irandapalli, Kanchi, Avamukta, Vengi, Palaka, Devaratha, and Kushtapura. Okay, these were the 12 states in South India, which was captured by Samudragupta, but he didn't acquire those places. Okay, so he basically gave them all away, but he definitely established his superiority there. Okay, now the second category that Samudragupta conquest was the state kings of Aryavarta, which was in North India, okay, who were violently exterminated, and prominent among them were like Rudrava or Ganapati Naga, Nagasena, etc. Right. Now the third category consists of the rulers of the forest states, okay, who were reduced to servitude, and the chief of the 5 border states and the 9 tribal republics, that were also subjugated. And okay, and the fourth category consists of the Devaputra Shahi. They were the Kushanas and the Shakas and the Murandas and the dwellers of Sinhala and all other islands who paid tribute to the king. So these were basically the places, right, which came under Samudragupta. Okay. Now, see, and from where we all... from where we get all these information, it is from the Allahabad Prashasti, okay, which was composed by Harisena. And this Harisena, the court poet of Samudragupta, also described him as the hero of 100 battles. And also note down that Vincent Smith, calls Samudragupta as the Napoleon of India. Okay, but in spite of his, preoccupation with political and military affairs, he cultivated music and poetry also. And some of his gold coins also represented him as playing on the lyre. Okay, so the Guptas, they were also the followers of Brahmanical religion, and hence Samudragupta performed the Ashwamedh sacrifice. Okay, so he fully maintained the tradition of religious toleration, right? And also, according to a Chinese source, Meghavarman, the ruler of Sri Lanka, was granted permission by Samudragupta to build a monastery at Bodh Gaya, right? So these were the achievements of Samudragupta, and he was very important Gupta ruler. Okay, now after Samudragupta came Chandragupta II. So Samudragupta was succeeded by his younger son Chandragupta II. But according to some scholars, Samudragupta, he died shortly, okay, and he was succeeded by his elder son Ramagupta. Right, so there is this drama called Devi Chandraguptam of Vishakha Datta suggests that the Ramagupta suddenly attacked by the Shaka, okay, and made peace with them on condition that his queen Dhruva Devi was to be surrendered to the Shaka chief. Okay, so the thing is that the Samudragupta elder son, okay, Ramagupta, what he did, that he was attacked by some Shaka ruler, okay, but then the peace was maintained on what terms? That his eldest son Ramagupta, he gave away his wife Dhruva Devi to that Shaka ruler. Now that infuriated Chandragupta too, who was his younger brother, that how can you give your woman, to someone else just to make a peace, right? So what happened, that Chandragupta, went himself in the disguise of the queen to the Shaka chief and he killed him. Okay, and then he also murdered his brother Ramagupta and himself married the queen. Okay, so the official record of the Guptas, however, do not refer to the Ramagupta and trace the succession directly from Samudragupta to Chandragupta II. Now, if we talk about the extension of empire's territorial boundary during the reign of Chandragupta II, then it was also, it was the high water mark of the Gupta Empire, because he extended the limit of the empire by marriage alliances and conquest. Okay, so Chandragupta too married Kuber Naga of the Naga family. Okay, now the Nagas were a powerful ruling clan, and this matrimonial alliances helped the Gupta ruler in expanding his empire. Okay, now the marriage of his daughter Prabhavati by his wife Kuber Naga with the Kuber Naga with the Vakataka King Rudrasena too helped him to establish his political influence in the Deccan. Okay, so with his great influence in this area, Chandragupta too conquered western Malwa and Gujarat from the Shaka Kshatrapas Rudrasimha III. Okay, now the conquest gave Chandragupta to the western sea coast, famous for trade and commerce. This contributed to the prosperity of Malwa and its chief city Ujjain. And Ujjain also, it was the second capital of Chandragupta II. Right? Now we talk about the information, the sources of information about Chandragupta II. Then we can find it from the Mehroli iron pillar inscription, which is located in the Qutub Minar complex in Delhi. Okay, and according to this inscription, Chandra crossed the Sindhu region of 7 rivers and defeated Vahalikas. Okay, and it also mentioned Chandragupta victory over enemies from Bengal. Okay. Now Chandragupta too adopted the title of Vikramaditya, which had been first used by an Ujjain ruler in 57 BC as a mark of victory over the Shaka Kshatrapas of Western India. An important incident which took place during this his reign was a visit of Fahian. He was a Chinese pilgrim who came to India in search of a Buddhist text. Okay, so the court of Chandragupta II at Ujjain was adorned by numerous scholars, including Kalidasa and Amar Simha. Right? After Chandragupta II came Kumaragupta. Now, Kumaragupta period was full of turmoil, because during that period, Hunas, there we see the invasion of Hunas, So that was literally devastating for the empire. Now we talk Kumaragupta. He ruled from 415 to 455 AD. Okay, and he enjoyed a long reign of more than 40 years. He also performed the Ashwamedha sacrifice, but we do not know of any military success achieved by him. Right, so he maintained intact the vast empire built up by his 2 predecessors. Okay, so towards the close of his reign, the empire was menaced by hordes of the Pushyamitras, probably a tribe allied to the Hunas, which were defeated by the crown prince Skandagupta. Okay, so during his time, Hunas literally attacked the empire, but mainly it was his son Skandagupta who tackled it. Okay, now Skandagupta, his reign starts from 455 and ends to 467 AD, and he was the last powerful Gupta monarch basically, who consolidated his position by fighting the Pushyamitras and also faced Huna invasion from access the frontiers in the northwest. Now, however, Skandagupta was successful in throwing the Hunas back. Okay, so in that he was successful. So this heroic feat entitled him, like Chandragupta to assume the title of Vikramaditya. Now let me tell you one thing, that these titles, these epithets, it means a lot to the king. Okay, right? So always remember that which king earned which title. Okay, so it appears that these words adversely affected the economy of empire, and also debased gold coins of Skandagupta, right, bears testimony to this. So moreover, he appears to have been the last Gupta ruler to mint silver coins in Western India. The Junagadh inscription of Skandagupta Rines tell us about the public works that was undertaken during his time, and the Sudarshana Lake, which was originally built, during the modern time, it was burst due to excessive rains, and in the early part of his rule, his governor Parnadatta and his son Chakrapalita get it repaired. The last known date of Skandagupta, as I told, it was 467 AD from his silver coins. Okay. If we talk about the administration of the Gupta Empire, then the king possesses, limitless powers, and he was the fountain head of civil, military, and judicial administration. Okay, Samudragupta and Chandragupta too personally conducted operation of war in the battlefield. Okay, so although kinship was hereditary, the usual practice, was selection by the dying king of the best fitted prince from among his son. Samudragupta was selected by his father, and thus the whole, Tat Parigrahatana in the Mathura inscription that we see. Right. Now, king assumed titles such as Paramadvaita, Paramabhattaraka, Maharaja Dhiraj, Samrat, Chakravartin, etc. Right. We also come to see the councils of, council of ministers. There was a council of ministers, and according to Kalidasa, some officers of the designation, acted as a go-between the king and the council. Okay, so the king was assisted by a chief minister called Mantri or Sachiva for administration of the kingdom. So we have officers like Mahasandhi Vigrahaka, Amatya, Mahabaladhikarita, Mahadandanayaka, Dutaka, Duta, Gramika, Sholkika, Golmika. Okay, so these were basically the name of the officers. And according to Kalidasa, there were 3 other ministers apart from the council: foreign minister, finance minister, and law minister. Okay, so the Gupta civil administration was a bureaucracy of high-sounding officials like Rajapurusha, Rajanayaka, Rajaputra, Rajamatya, Mahasamanta, Mahapratihara, and Mahakumara Matya. Okay. Also have the provincial administration. The provinces or divisions called the bhuktis were governed by the uparikas, they were directly appointed by the kings, and the provinces was often divided into districts known as Vishayas, which were ruled by Kumara Matyas, Ayuktas or Vishayapatis. His appointment was made by the provincial governors. So the Gupta inscription from Bengal shows that the municipal board, which was also called Adhishtanadhikarana, associated with itself, representation from major local communities. The Nagara Sreshti, that is the guild president, the chief merchant, that is Sarthavaha, the chief artisan, Prathama Kulika, and the chief scribe, Prathama Kayastha. Okay, so beside them, there were the Pushtapalas official, whose work was to manage and keep records. Then there was the village administration, okay, and then we have the revenue administrations of the Gupta empire. We have a different kind of tax name like the Klipta, Bali, Prataya, Bhoga, Bhagakar, Bhatta, Chat, Chakrisana, Hiranya, Uparikara, Rajju, Taradaya, Bhoga. So these are basically toll tax, police tax, security tax, grazing tax. Then also we have like irrigation tax called Bheda Bhoga, and Bhoga, which was basically a general tribute. Right. So if we talk about that the decline of Gupta Empire, then so after the demise of Chandragupta II, Kumaragupta I, who ruled over the vast empire with skill and ability, he was able to maintain peace and even fend off strong challenges from a tribe known as Pushyamitras. He was helped by his able son Skandagupta, who was the last of the sovereign ruler of the Gupta dynasty. He also succeeded in preventing the invasion of the Hunas. Skandagupta was a great scholar and wise ruler also, but after Skandagupta, things started changing. Now, the Skandagupta death, the dynasty became embroiled with domestic conflicts. Okay, the rulers lacked the capabilities of the earlier emperors to rule over with large kingdom. Okay, so this resulted in decline in law and order. Okay, so they were continuously plagued by the attack of the Hunas and other foreign powers. This put a dent in the economic well-being of the empire. On top of this, the king, remained more occupied with self-indulgence than in preparing to meet with the challenges of their enemies. Okay, so the inept ministers and administrative had also followed, suit. Notably, after the defeat and capture of Mihirikula, one of the most important emperor of the time, Gupta king Baladitya set him free on the advice of his minister. Now that was the biggest mistake. Okay. So the Hunas came back to haunt the empire later, and they finally drew the curtains on this illustrious empire in AD 550. If you guys like this video, then please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, comment down below, and thank you.